Welcome to A Flash of Beauty, the podcast, an audio experience dedicated to the further exploration of Bigfoot and the people Bigfoot has revealed itself to. What started with a documentary of eyewitness testimony and expert analysis has now led the film's crew deeper down the path to follow up with those whose lives are forever changed by this cloaked reality. Tune in weekly to join me, your host, Tobe Johnson, and my co-host, Jill Remensnyder, as we go back into the trees to sit down once more with our guest in search of the truth, no matter how strange. All right, Jill, we're back. Welcome to the strange world of A Flash of Beauty, the podcast. Hello, Jill.
Hello, Tobe. Can you believe it? We're back with season 2.
We've been talking a lot of smack about doing this, and I'll be darned. Well, it's not like you haven't been busy, and all good things in due time. And we have a banger of an episode starting out with Jack Sacrison. He goes by Jack Sac in this episode, but for me, I kind of fanboyed out when I met Jack initially at Oak Ridge because he just has that kind of it factor as far as A Flash of Beauty is concerned.
Absolutely.
And he's right out of Central Casting as far as just like real leading man vibes, but very interesting, quirky vibes and a Sasquatch magnet. So we have a great episode. What do you think of it?
He is one of the most genuine, just honest, truthful, good-hearted people I think I've come across in ages. He calls it how it is. He tells you how he feels. He doesn't dance around it. He'll just tell you how it is. And it's so refreshing. It really is.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there too. I mean, we talk about these vents tangentially in the Columbia River Gorge. We kind of get into that a little bit, but that in itself is like a really good, rich 60-minute story. And, there's a lot there. There's some gifting stuff that we get into that I wanted to pick apart a little bit more, but it's going to need some time to kind of ruminate. But he brings up a lot of stuff that's reminiscent of these contactees that talk about this layered experience, how it's not just Bigfoot related. I mean, in the episode, he's one of the guys that sees shapeshifting happen. And so, of course, we get into that as well. But
That's not just shape-shifting. He's experiencing other things when he's out in the woods. And we've heard these stories from other people as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's not keep the folks waiting. Our interview with Jack Sac.
Hello.
Jack, we are so happy that you're here. And especially because so many people have been commenting on your video, your full interview. Never mind the documentary, but so many people want to know more about you and your adventures and your insight and your knowledge. So this is a real treat.
I appreciate that. Well, this was never, ever meant for this at all. Until you guys, well, you know how hard it was to get a hold of me. I'm a pretty private person, and, like I said, you're the only ones I'll work with because you're my friends. You guys turned out to be some really special people. So, yeah.
Let's set the groundwork here for people that haven't seen the film. Of course, you can see Jack in A Flash of Beauty, Part 2, Paranormal Bigfoot, where that's your chance to hear from, Jack himself, an Oregon native, if I'm not mistaken, that knows very well the mystery of Bigfoot. But the neat thing about you, Jack, is the fact that you're kind of an unknown quantity as far as the Bigfoot world's concerned. I'd never heard of any of your stories before, and there's some real humdingers in here, stuff that was on the cutting room floor that we didn't have time to get to that we put up on the YouTube channel. So I've got a lot of questions for you because I've been dying to meet you, and we only had one small little opportunity to meet where I gave you a wood watcher that's behind you over there on your right-hand shoulder, but
There he is.
Jack, you're in your man cave, and you can talk freely here. So I don't know. Let's get into it a little bit. Throughout the documentary, you mentioned some incredible attributes of the sightings that you've had, not only by yourself but with other people, which is a big deal, right? When you have an eyewitness testimony alone, that's something special. But when you have it with another person, it just adds that little bit extra to it as far as the believability of it to the skeptic. And a lot of your encounters are right there in your own backyard. So let's talk about what we filmed as far as what Brett and Mike put in perspective on camera. And you talk about this moment where the Sasquatches were coming to and from, or at least the idea of an individual coming to and from your zip code, your house. And am I looking at the actual property where this happened right now? Are you at the same spot?
No.
Okay.
You
So
mean
where was that in proximity to where you are today?
when I lived in Florence, you mean?
Was it in Forks?
In Florence.
Florence.
Oh, in Florence.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was on the coastline. Are you still on the coastline?
Oh yes, I'm 2 hours north up well, I'm up a little bit north of well, I guess you call it northeast of Lincoln City, a place called Otis.
Otis. Okay. And so when you had that activity there, you noticed some really interesting stuff, including what you call shapeshifting. And this
Oh,
is where we do this dramatic zoom on you, and you say basically, "Hey, listen, folks, this thing shapeshifted from a deer into a Bigfoot." Is that right?
yes, sir.
Okay, and so not only do you stand by that, but let's talk a little bit about that moment here because it really is the part of the documentary that people remember the most. I mean, tell us what exactly happened to get you to that point with Sasquatch shapeshifting in front of you, and how did you process that?
Okay, let me give you a little bit of arrangement of the house and the yard and the woods. Okay, the house was an old log cabin, and they had built onto it. And so my part of the house was in the front, which was a log cabin, and it had one room. It was a bedroom. And then the door, there was a wall, and then there was a doorway, and then there was a living room, and it had a big window. Okay, that's the layout of the house. Okay, when you look out the big window, we had a big yard, but it was surrounded by 150-foot trees all the way around, and we had a fairly big yard. I mean, well, you got to try mowing it. Anyway, we had a big yard on the backside too that it went down to the power lines. Okay, well, the front part of that front yard was I was looking out. This is how it started. Okay, it was a nice sunny day out, and I decided that I wanted to pull my blinds up and have some sunshine. So I got over there and I was pulling my blinds up, and I looked outside, and what I saw was I thought I saw a bad damn bear, and that's way too close to the house because that's probably 70 feet from the actual house where I'm sitting. So what I did was I opened the window, but when I slid the window open, it looked up, and it was not a bear. It was him. It was the big guy. It was what we call Snookum Jim. Anyway, he stood up and he looked at me, and as soon as I made contact, eye contact, or whatever you want to call it, that's when he did his shape-shifting routine. And it wasn't like zippity zoo da da, or anything like that. He did a transfiguration right in front of a person's eyes. I mean, I don't know how else to call it. I don't know what else to call it. It was a shape-shifting. He did it. And then this is the part that I really didn't go into after that. But when it started walking off, it did its disappearing act. And that's where, it poofed. It was gone. So that was the part of that deer. Okay. When we first started this whole thing, we cut those trees down. Okay. Then when we cut the trees down, even, sometime I'd like people to see what they did. I really would, man. They did stuff. Anyway, we cut those trees down. That white deer, it was a cream-colored deer. And that cream-colored deer coming around, we had deer that were natural ones. We had 5 deer that hung around the house. They ate around us, and all that. But there was part of the woods that, a couple of them would go to, but they kind of shifted away from that. Well, that deer was different. because what that deer would do is it would look like it was eating, but it was not eating, and it was looking at the house, and it was watching us. It was watching us when we went outside, and so yeah, we all had conversations about it because it gave the girls the creeps, seeing that, and so that's what started it all. Was I believe cutting those trees down? It made it to where I don't know if they distrusted us or just exactly what. The mental thing that I got from them, the mind speaking I got from them was. Well, are you responsible for this? And I was trying to tell them, no, I wasn't responsible for this. It was the people that were cutting the trees. Yeah, I was responsible for it. I don't think I pulled the wool over on their eyes any because of what they did them first 3 nights. I mean, they tore those trees up. We're talking 150-foot Douglas fir trees. And the branches that they were breaking off of those trees were probably anywhere from 6 inches across, maybe to 10 inches across, as they come out of the tree itself. I mean, these are long branches. And they would bust them off at the tree, right there where they came out of the tree, and they were sticking them everywhere. I mean, they had some of them that were long, and they were weaving them in the other trees. It was just total confusion. Well, like a guy wants to do, he wants to find out what's doing it. So I went out there with that there game camera and got nothing, absolutely nothing. But they still did their thing, and they did a lot of stuff out there. That was just the beginning of I guess you'd call it the stuff that they did. When they had a tree, well, there's some other stuff that happened later on after that, but we had another tree that blew down, and they did the same thing. They tore it all to pieces too. Uh, they were pretty crafty too. They had a sense of humor there too. Uh, they would
Jack, real quick, I want to go back to the shape shifting thing because
okay.
it's such an important part of the story. And so,
Retract me.
well, you said that the girls were spooked by the deer. So did they have a preconceived notion that the deer was not just a deer? What was it about? Was it the deer's activity?
It was the way that it watched the girls. It gave them the woolies.
Okay.
It when you see something like it eating and it's okay. I think the thing that set the girls off most is because the other deer would never be around it. They were always away from it,
Hmm.
in the yard, and it would be up by the house by itself. And I think the way it looked at us, when we were outside, that kind of gave me a creepy kind of feeling too. But the girls, it really bothered them. And the youngest ones, Trapper, it didn't bother him because he was too young. But that gave the girls the creeps. And then even let's see, I think at that time she was like 4 or 5 years old. That even gave the granddaughter a creepy one because that deer had walked up to the granddaughter, not walked up to her, but walked up pretty close to her when she was outside, and it spooked her, and I think it made her kind of scared of her. But that the cream colored deer, it had, I guess you'd call it normal eyes for a deer, but it was like it was looking through you when it was looking at you. And I think that might have been the creepy part of it. The
Jill,
other,
you had a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, Jack, before the trees were cut down though, what was the activity level? I mean, were you having was there what was leading up to all this? Did you hear stories from the neighbors or anyone in the area about this?
Okay, when we moved there, we had no clue except for when we went out in the woods and we saw the stuff that they were doing out there before, and the horses wouldn't go out there. But I don't know how long after we already moved out. The lady that we had tried to get a hold of the lady that lived there before, and she finally called us. Actually, we were at my mother-in-law's house moving her out because she had passed away. And this phone call came, and it was the lady that lived there before. And she told us that she didn't live there very long, and the reason why was because of the paranormal activity that was there. Now, where most of the activity where I was at, that I got the videos and things of, I don't know if you've seen them or not, Jill, if you had time. But anyway, most of that was in the area there where all that paranormal stuff happened. The horses wouldn't go. Uh, what freaked her out a lot was the stuff that would be missing and then come back. they would play little games with her, and like us, they'd hit the side of the house and things. But what really freaked them out and made them move was in our master bedroom. They had a sliding glass windows for sliding glass doors for the closet, and they had mirrors on them. And the young lady, the girls, the lady that lived there had a daughter, and she had and it's hard to explain. She had a table set up right in front of the mirrors, and she was using her laptop one night, and she opened her laptop up, and she saw in the mirrors, she saw a girl in a white dress standing there, scared the hajibber out of her. So she made her mom move. And there's other things that happened there, but that was the one that made them move. Then she started telling me places like where a lot of the activity went on, like where the trees were all busted up.
Yeah.
That area down there was right next to the power lines, and she would tell us that deer would come up and they would go to a certain point, and then they would turn around and they would flag around and go around the area where that spot was. So there's something to that spot. And that there's on that area right there next to that spot is a spot that I used to play a little game with them. When I first moved there, there was a big hump right there. I got a couple of videos of it. Big hump. And they had looked like tracks all the way around, flat footprint tracks all the way around this hump. And that was kind of weird, I thought. So they had stick language on it, X's and A's and stuff on top of it. So I started playing a game with them. I took that stuff off just to see what they would do, and I stacked it off to the side. Well, I'd come back a couple of days later, and they had it all stacked up there again. And then I'd take it off and then stack it back up. I did that for about 5 years. It was like a little game we played. And I got, videos of that too. I got videos of a lot of stuff that happened there. One day I went out there and, man, this was, well, let's see, I think it was just maybe it was a little while after my niece and my sister slept out there in a canvas tent, and they slept out there for 2 nights. They said they had no problems, but right afterwards, I got this triple arch. They've taken these long, skinny trees and they made this archway out of it. An arch on top like this, one that come across like this, and then one that came around like this. Mm-hmm. Then behind that, they took a bunch of the huckleberry trees, or the huckleberry bushes, and they'd go up like this normally, but they would take them and they'd grab them around like this, and they'd bring them down, and then they'd weave them like a weave, and then they'd bring them down, and then they'd pin them behind a tree by another log. Just weird stuff like that. I got lots of videos of that kind of stuff. That's about it,
Jack, what kind of trees did they like to weave with? Do you know what kind of variety of trees that they were working with when they did that weaving?
Douglas firs.
They'd use branches of Douglas firs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And were they living trees or were they ripped off branches?
Ripped off branches.
Okay.
Those guys were immensely strong.
Mm-hmm. And then you said that one of the things that really freaked them out was the paranormal activity of objects going away and coming back. Did I hear you right?
Yeah.
Okay. So what kind of objects would disappear?
Oh, well, she said that one time she had a jar of pickles, and the jar of pickles was in the living room, in the kitchen. I mean, there was a big family room, and then there was a kitchen. Okay, she had it on the counter there. Well, it disappeared. Okay, they found that jar of pickles in their laundry room 2 days later. Nobody moved it. There's only her and the daughter. Okay, then one day she said that they had not really an object missing, but something brought to them. They had a set of rocks, 3 rocks sitting in front of the steps when they walked up to the house, when they came back. That was kind of weird. She said there was a lot of different things that were, what do you want to call it? Oh, gosh, what am I trying to think of? Oh, crap.
Are you trying to think of like the name of something appearing suddenly?
Yeah, the stuff that would disappear was like small things, like I want to say trinkets, but not trinkets, shiny things like change and nails and things like that outside.
Mm.
And then
Right.
they would come back in a different place.
Apports.
Mm.
Yeah. So did that ever happen to you?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, we had some weird stuff like that. We when Joy was living with us, Joy was working on my Zuzu, and he swears up and down that he put my oil filter in the back of the Zuzu. Well, the Zuzu was open, right? Okay, so when he went to get it, he couldn't find the oil filter. We never found that oil filter ever, and it was never found it. I've had several things that just disappeared like that. Nobody would be around. See, what
Mm.
else did I have that disappeared that I never found?
Did you have objects show up that were related to things that you just talked about? Like, would you be talking about going fishing and having strange things related to things that you just spoke about? Did that ever happen?
No, not that I can remember.
Okay.
I ain't got
But
a good
things,
memory either. So all this stuff, for me,
yeah.
all this stuff was just for my family and the neighbors. It wasn't anything that, gosh, like when you ask me questions, some of them I just can't remember.
Well,
Well,
Jack, I'm curious. You're talking about your family experience, but when you were younger, when you were a child, were you told stories about the skookum and like to stay out of the woods or don't listen to the whistle or anything? I mean, was this new to you when it started happening, or did you have memories from childhood of these stories?
Oh no, I had memories, and when they started beating on the wood doors and the sides of the walls and stuff, I went to my friend and asked. He was a medicine person, and I asked him, my cousin, I asked him, what the heck did we do here? And so he told me, and I'll tell you what we did. I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, I want to tell you. This is what we did. He told me to do this, and he said, go to. This is what we do. He said, go to your fireplace, get all the ashes you can get. And he says, then you take those ashes and you sprinkle those ashes around your perimeter this is your side, that's their side. They have to understand that that's their side, this is your side. We can come on each side, but no hanky panky on this side, no hanky panky on that side. It's a trust thing.
right.
So we did that. We had our little party with them with the trust thing, and talked about them with the trust thing. And there's another element to that, this ghost thing that the little girl was talking about.
Hmm.
Okay, he said, didn't you want to put a little salt on that? And that gets rid of the ghosts. Ain't that some freaky stuff, folks? But it worked. It worked.
So did you
Salt
put?
is the answer to many problems.
So what is that? Do you put salt at the threshold? Where do you put the salt?
On top of the ashes.
On top of the ashes. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and why do you think? Do you think this is related to the Bigfoot activity?
Well, I think that they were pushing us, to see what we were going to do, to see if, well, I think they were actually working us like they were working them first people that lived there before, but they weren't working us that hard because I'm not them people. I'm me, and I guess they like me. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with them and me. I really don't. But what was that question again?
Well, as far as like the activity, the paranormal activity, do you think it's related? Like seeing a ghost girl in white is reminiscent of what happened at Arla Williams' house, but yet why are people seeing supposedly dead girls in and around Bigfoot habitat?
Oh, I don't know. I got a picture here. Okay, when let me get away from this for a second. You're talking about that? Okay, this blows me away. Me and Jacqueline went out to a place, and this is a whole different story. But anyway, she had an experience there that scared the crap out of her. And I went back a couple of times and had some parties with them. But one day I went out there, and I was probably maybe 150 feet from where all this took place. And I was looking in there, and I thought I saw something that was like cloaked. So I took a picture of it. Well, guess what was behind it? A woman in a white dress. Let's get back on the other subject. But yeah, there's some freaky stuff out in these woods. I'm telling you.
Jill, with your history of looking into, as a medium, looking into this subject matter, do you have any guesses why the dead would be mixed up, or what we perceive as the passed on or the dead mixed up with Bigfoot?
I don't know if it's a direct connection. I've never really, you know, I'm guilty of, even though I do believe it's all connected, and there's kind of a string of energy that connects everything together. I'm still guilty, just from my own paradigm and understanding, keeping everything in its own silo.
Hmm.
I don't know. I've Unless, all I can think of is that because the veil is thinner, or you're more in tune, your frequency is tuning in, you're picking up on other things. And I wonder sometimes, it's like in the sequel when Eric Bard from Skinwalker Ranch talks about this energy, this entity, using the Bigfoot as an avatar, perhaps,
Hmm.
for shape shifting and projecting a visual image for us. I wonder if for us humans in the 3D, somehow being able to see this woman, this ghost child, this young woman, adolescent, preteen, um, in white that so many people describe, is that kind of like the safeguard that our mind goes to as an avatar?
Right.
Like,
Is that like the carrot and the stick? Like it's safer to come closer because this is the most pure thing it can think of, like a child in white. That's very angelic. I mean,
maybe.
are these creepy experiences, Jack, when you see or people report a little girl in white? That sounds kind of spooky.
No, you know what I really believe in it myself for my own personal beliefs is it's spiritual. Everything is very connected to the spiritual world, and
Hmm.
out there in that area, back I mean, in our forest, in our world, everything is a circle. Everything is connected, and our Bigfoot are connected to us. Uh, I firmly believe that there's more than just me that they have an association with. I like Mel. I think that's another one they have associations with. Ellen, Elaine. I think that's another one. I think there's a lot of them that there's
Mm.
there's a spiritual connection with us. I don't want to call it that, but that's what I believe myself. I don't know what anybody else would want to call it, but
Mm.
there's something about them that they have picked us. And this is okay. I'm gonna lay a little something on you that probably will blow your mind a little. But one of those experiences that I had that I was talking to you about. Well, my spirit warrior told me that we are the vessel. Us. We're the vessel to the world. We are their vessel. We have been chosen to them for them. That's why we're so successful with what we're doing. And we are the vessel. So probably blow your mind, but yeah, mind speaking is a lot. There's a lot to it. And when I did that, one of those ceremonies, that's what I was told, that we are a vessel. We are to the world. We are a vessel. And
So,
so
Jack,
you,
your spirit warrior. Sorry to interrupt. Your spirit warrior, is that like a spirit guide, a
yes,
non-physical being?
yes. That's that person that tells you when danger's there. That's that person that tells you when somebody don't like you. That's that person that's inside you that tells you things. That's your spirit warrior.
Can you talk about them? Are they male, female? Do they have a name? Do they
No,
come to you even when you're not in ceremony?
oh, they'll come to you. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they'll come to you. Uh,
Okay.
they'll give you they'll give you heads ups. They'll
Okay.
give you well, like I just said, they'll give you if you're in a situation like when I'm out in the woods and I have a situation that I'm going to walk into something that ain't very nice. Well, they'll let me know I'm going into something that ain't very nice, and they'll give me a choice, go in it or not. But
Hmm.
they're always there. Like I was telling Jacqueline, our friend Jacqueline, ever since I was a little kid. I mean, ever since I can remember that spirit warrior has always been there, and he's always put somebody in my life. Always, from the time I was a little kid, always put somebody in my life to better my life, to give me a heads up. When my dad was too busy to be around me, and I didn't have much of a dad, well, he always put somebody there to take my dad's place. Uh, I've always been like that. Anyway,
Hmm.
so Well, I was telling Jacqueline the other day that, that spirit warrior is part of us. And
Mhm.
that's part of them. We're all related in a spiritual world. And when I was telling you this a while ago that we are all, you know, we're a vessel for them. Well, I didn't mean it in the fact that, you know, uh, we need to do whatever we need to do. It's the way that you guys present what we do, our experiences, the way you guys express those experiences through our filmmaking is the vessel. That's what I'm trying to say. And so we still need to keep doing what we're doing. You guys are so good at it. They have chosen us and Mel, and there's a few of us, that they've chosen to tell the story. I guess that's maybe why I have so many likes and how many people have seen it. I don't know. I don't know all the answers, but that's my own personal feeling about what's going on.
Do you think that has something to, because you named off Mel and Elaine?
I really can't
Uh,
hear you,
do,
ma'am.
do you think that has to do with the Native American connection?
Oh yes, oh yes. Also has to do with type O blood. That's the way I feel about it. Now look at you, Jill.
Let's talk about that. So let's talk about that. Is that common denominator?
For me, it is. Yeah. Well, when I was in the service, they sucked me dry because I had yeah. They took good care of me, man. They made me fat, and they took good care of me. They sucked me dry though. Yeah.
You know, and that's just something I want to reference also, because I think life experience and what you're exposed to has a lot to do with how you perceive and receive as well. And like you served in the military. You're also search and rescue. And it just feels like, from some of the things you shared with us, like, well, we were out in the woods filming, there's just such an empathic quality of when you're out in the woods and being just hyper aware and tuned into things. I remember, Jack, I remember distinctly one of the times we were out filming, I kind of wandered off up the road, and you chastise gently, but you're like, do not wander off.
Yeah.
And you need to stay close. You need to let people know where you are, because there are things that you don't know are around. And
Things out there that'll do something to you that you don't even know.
yeah.
Uh, that was that. Do you remember that day when we were looking at all those dark spots?
Mm-hmm.
No, they're
Yeah.
not there. They're not always there. That's what we were looking at.
Yeah, that was really interesting. And for the listeners, basically, Brett and I were out with Jack and his grandson Trapper, and this was when, I think, was Mike with us that day
Yes, it was.
too.
Well, maybe not that time.
Okay, but we were filming. We're out, like, we're in the scene in the sequel where Jack's putting out the apples, and we're just kind of
Yeah, Mike was
observing.
there. Mike was there.
Okay, Mike. Okay, so Mike was there, but they're busy doing all the camera stuff and getting the shots, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go look. But it was interesting because there were definitive spots where you'd look off, and there were areas that I don't even want to say, like, I'm not trying to make it sound like it was plentiful, but there were spots that stuck out that were very dark. And Jack, you pointed out, you're like, do you see that spot over there? I'm like, yes. And you're like, does that look natural? I'm like, well, no, it seems kind of out of place. And we go about our way, and later on, you couldn't locate it. It didn't look the same. It's like it was. I don't want to say it was removed, but like there was the sense that there was something there that had removed itself. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
See, our whole mountain range that we live on here is just full of goodies. I mean, just full of it. Uh, we went to a place called Brown's Camp. We went up four wheeling, really doing some wild stuff. And I went with two missions. And I found them. They're up there. There's all kinds of wood Latin up there. You wouldn't believe how much TikTok there is around there. It's everywhere.
Wait, Jack, hold on. So you're calling, just so people know, glyphs. You came up with this coined term, which I think is brilliant. You call it wood Latin, right?
Yes, sir. I got a reason for that too. I
Why is
can't
that?
read Latin, and I can't read that stuff. That's why.
Yeah.
It
So
makes sense.
did you see any reoccurring wood Latin, like certain shapes that would show themselves up and up again, time and time again? Where would they put these wood Latin things?
You can find them lots of different places. You can find them inside the woods. You can find them on the wall. A lot of them are on the road. You can find a lot of different stuff on the road. But when you get into the woods, you'll find A's, you'll find X's, you will find glyphs. You will find. I mean, I got an assortment of goodies in my pack of stuff. Well, I've just seen some of them, I'm sure, but there's just a lot of stuff out there, and I can't. Like I can't get it all, and so I got so much stuff that I have to eliminate stuff. So I've been putting stuff in clouds. I've been putting stuff in all kinds of different, SD cards, and because there's so much stuff out there. And I've been trying to figure out how to do. Well, uh, my experience with formatting didn't work out so good. I lost a lot of goodies because I formatted something. I
Oh, I gotcha.
didn't know what
And
formatting was, but I do now.
Jack, and Brett spent a lot of time because you dropped that you dropped off the cell phone that you shot that original shape shifting from the
Oh yeah,
star
yeah.
to the thing taking form that is how we connected with you because we saw it on Facebook and Brett's like, we gotta talk to this guy. We have to track him down. And it was a process, but we finally got hold of you. But you brought us that phone and we were trying to like recover the data. You guys, there was a process. Like we spent more time doing like old school like CSI data recovery than you'll ever know.
Explain what was on that phone because we never aired that. So talk about that.
Oh, what was on the phone?
Yeah,
Oh, just a lot of stuff.
Well,
Well,
no, Jack, this is specifically
the cloaking.
the cloaking, the star that turned
Oh
in that
crap.
shape shifted and you drove through it.
Yeah, talk about that because there was a sound too, right, when you passed through it.
Okay. When we were started, okay, we'd been doing a lot of stuff later on, early on in this effort in the Columbia River Gorge, and so me and my son, we were goofing around, and we decided that we were going to go down and check out some footprints and stuff along the area there where the power lines are, and so we got this brainy idea that we'd go up and see Bradley Allen. So on the old highway 30, there's an old road, and well, there's an old 4x4 road that goes up to Larch Mountain. So we decided, yeah, we'd put it in 4-wheel drive if we had to. And so we took off and went up to Larch Mountain. That's where Bradley Allen lived. Well, we got about maybe 3 miles into it. I don't know. We were up there a little ways. And all of a sudden, that just freaked us out. This big star shaped, it was an orb, but it was like a star. It was like well, it was like a sun star. It had legs, arms, whatever you want to call it, but it was coming out of the trees. And when it came out of the trees, it kind of like stopped. And then it started doing this. It did a shape shifting routine right in front of our eyes. It's just took a while for it to do it. It was like I don't know what it was doing, but it was doing this kind of stuff. And so I only had one choice: power out, and that's what we did. I just gave it the gas. And it was like I didn't ask. I didn't ask Glenn if he wanted to do it or not, and it was like a choice that, oh boy, that was one of those things that you do because you have to, I guess. Uh, my little spirit warrior wasn't working for me that day. I don't think I gave him a chance. I'm not really sure where he was at that day, but I'll tell you what, I just decided that was enough for me, and I goosed it. Well, when I goosed it, I was driving, and we felt this. It was like we hit a speed bump, and there was that sound, that noise, like we hit a speed bump, and
Hmm.
that's when the kid, he realized that we weren't dead. We didn't go through a portal or anything, and it was just a pretty, yeah, it was a hair raiser. That's all I can say. Was that was one of those hair raisers that I don't really know how I got. Okay, I got one. I sent it to Brett. To Brett. Uh, there was one still picture that was on that gizmo when it's from the. Okay, I had it on regular picture, you know a picture, take a picture. I don't know how it got on video, but there's one of it, the star coming down, and then there's one of it actual see it right there, and then you start doing shapeshifting stuff. So I don't know how that they have an added. They have a way of making your electronics do weird stuff, and I
Yeah.
didn't know that at the time. But I've learned a lot about them guys since then. I mean, a lot of stuff. When we were doing stuff, huh?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
When we
Don't
were
mind
doing
me.
things in the Columbia River Gorge, I had no clue about the paranormal stuff. I knew about they had jokes, they had a sense of humor and whatnot, but I never realized the paranormal things that they were capable of. Uh, I have a picture of me taking a picture of one of them, and my buddy Bradley Allen is sitting right there with him. You can see his fingers with his picture, with his camera right there. You can see the fingers right here in my camera, and in my picture, and it's not there. But I showed Brett, I think, when we were at the Oak Ridge thing. You can see through it. It's so cloaked. It's cloaked itself. You can see the eyes through it. I got the picture. That's a 35 millimeter. Oh, there's something else I got to ask or got to add. Does anybody know how I could get a hold of an 8 millimeter movie projector? I have a film from the 1980s, and that's where we used to do a lot of it. Was 8 millimeter movies. I got one that I've never seen. It's never been opened.
Oh
I
wow.
just found it, I just found it in my safe.
Wow,
What do you
Jill.
think's on it? What I mean, do you know what?
It's the stuff from when we were doing stuff back in the day in the Columbia River Gorge.
Oh.
We'll talk to Brett because I know we can easily find a projector. We can get that
Yeah, that would
transferred
be
to
cool if we
video.
could have a conference and premiere as a surprise of what's
Yeah,
inside
'cause I have no idea. There might be a couple of jokers doing something dumb. I don't know. I
this.
don't have any idea. But
We
yeah,
may
I
need to
got
hold
it.
on to that, Jill, for a while and
Yeah,
surprise
well,
ourselves.
so
We'll
it was
see.
time to clean out my closet, so I decided to clean out my safe too. And boy, when I found that, I went, "Whoa! I'd forgotten all about that." But yeah, it's never even been opened, and it's still got, I'm sure, everything on it. But I don't know. But if I
Okay,
had an 8 millimeter movie camera, I'd already know what it was on.
let's
Hmm.
look into that. We
Yeah.
will we'll figure that out after the show. But yes, please. Now,
One of
Jack, I
the
have a question. Have you had since you've left the Florence house and you've moved to your new spot in Otis? Has this activity followed you? Has there been more activity around your house?
Okay, this is where I'm at with this whole thing. I honestly believe that when I left, they left with me. The ones from Florence because of this stuff that's been going on. I wanted Jacqueline to come down to Florence with me. She didn't get a chance to, but I wanted to explain to her. I've been getting this mind speak for quite a while, and it finally came to a head when. Wow. Okay. There was a place down the road from us that it used to be a Forest Service camp, and I think it was a 1988. It was Thanksgiving weekend in 1988. This Frenchman came from France. He wanted to ride a bicycle from Canada all the way down to California. Well, he came out of Canada. He came down to Nesquin, and he asked the lady at the Nesquin school where there was a Forest Service camp. Well, this young man found out that there was a Forest Service camp, and he went to that Forest Service camp, and that night he was murdered. So me and Jacqueline and Trapper, we went and we investigated that one day. Well, those guys were mind speaking me so bad that after that they wanted me to. This is no joke. They wanted me to come out to a fire pit that's out there. Okay, where that young man was murdered, there's a fire pit out there. Somebody made a fire pit, and I had forgotten about the fire pit, but I was instructed to go out to the fire pit. Well, when I went out to the fire pit, I sat there for a while, and I got, oh boy, I got mind spoke to like you wouldn't believe. I got scolded, folks. Uh, I had been taking stuff of theirs since 1988. I took some of their poop then. I took a hair then. And this is what they didn't realize. This is what I really got scolded for, was I took a skull that they set on top of the rock pile one day. That's another story in its own self. But when I was sitting out there that day by that rock pile, every single thing that I had taken away from them, including the apple that they dropped with their saliva on it, I put it in the freezer. Well, they weren't too happy about that. They weren't too happy about the oranges. They were just not too happy about the things that I confiscated from the woods. So that day, I laid there for a while. I was exhausted. I was spiritually exhausted that day. Well, I got another call for them guys to come out to the place where Jacqueline and I had been, where she had got infrasounded one day. And this was just not too long. This was just the other day. This was last week. And so they'd been doing that to me, and I told them I'd be sure I'd be out, come out there just as soon as I got a chance. So I got the chance, and I went out there. And do you remember Tim that was there at, I think it was Beach Fest?
Yeah. I know. Yeah, Ken. Yeah.
Okay. When we took him back to Portland, we stopped off at our gifting spot, and we're going to check it out. Well, this is after Jacqueline got infosounded, and she was trying to face her fears, I think. We got about halfway there, and she couldn't do it anymore. But that particular spot there, after the other day, okay, this is what went on. She got scared and she wouldn't go back. There were some things that happened there. There were some noises, the infrasound, the noise, and the trees were wiggling when there wasn't any wind. Well, I went back up there because I had to have another talk with them. And wow, I walked into that spot, walked across the gate. I walked into that spot. And when you walk into that spot, me and Tim and her walked into the spot that day, and you could see where somebody had taken oh gosh, it must have been a 10 by 10 section of the trail and flattened it all out. And you could see where there was something like a tent that had been sitting there on top of it. That was just weird, because that's a weird spot. Anyway, so she decided that she didn't want to go any further. She just it gave her the creeps. She scared her. So her and Tim went back, and it doesn't bother me. So I went ahead and went up. I told her I wanted to go up and check out our gifts. And well, after that, I was told to come back out there. Well, when I went back out there the other day, wow. Well, I'll show you something. This right here. See this, folks? Okay. I was taken out there, and where she had the infrasound happen to her there was a rock, not that one, but there was a rock that had been pulled out of the ground, and it was sitting alongside of the trail. And I saw that rock, and as soon as I saw that rock, I was told to look up. I looked up, and there was a little trail. It wasn't a little small. It was a trail. I walked back into that trail, and there was this big area, and it was trees all around, and then there was logs like this. And it was like an amphitheater or something. I don't know. It was big. It was not huge, but it was big. And it had wood Latin and stick talk everywhere, X's and A's, and it was all over the place. This thing was sitting probably maybe 20 feet from me on the ground, just like this. This is anyway, this totally blew me away. I'm sitting there, and I'm getting talked to about our little experience, and well, I need to talk to Jacqueline about what they said, but they were talking about our experience and what they wanted her to do to overcome the fears that she has. Isn't that some weird stuff, folks?
Yeah. Well, go back to what you had in your hand there. I know that that's not the object, but what's balancing on top of that rock? Is that important to the story? What is that thing?
This rock was sitting there. It is important. I was just getting kind of freaked out by the whole thing.
That's okay.
This rock was sitting about 10, maybe 12 feet from me. And my mind spoke person told me, the big guy, I actually see these guys. I'm not joking. There's one smaller one and one larger one. They kept their distance, but they were talking. They told me to take this to Jacqueline because this represented them. And I thought, that was weird. Okay. When I first saw this thing, you guys, and I saw this tonight, and I just freaked out. Can you see this little tiny spot right here?
Bring it up a little farther in the camera, up higher. No, up higher by your face. There you go. What are you pointing to?
That little dark spot right there.
Okay. Yes.
Okay. When I first found this, you guys, I looked this thing over, and you know what? That little dark spot had a fucking face on it. Excuse my expression, but it had two eyes, a nose, and a mouth on it. That thing had been sitting there since I put that there. Okay, it's this is magnetic.
Oh, so it's iron filled.
Oh,
It is a asteroid, folks, or whatever they call that, a
Is that a meteorite?
meteorite. That's exactly what the heck
Put
it
it up
is.
closer to the camera so we can kind of hold it no to the lens of the camera up high. So get it
yeah,
right there. Now kind of spin it around so we can appreciate the texture of it. Okay.
yeah.
And so that was sitting near a glyph?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was in the bottom of an X. I didn't take a camera or nothing out there because I was told not to.
Is
But
there
check
any
this out.
volcanic rock out there that would explain that where you found it?
No, this is the only one sitting. It was sitting by itself, all by itself. It's
Interesting.
got this little line. Can you see this little line right here?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got this little line and it's this little T-like thing right there. It's just,
Interesting.
it struck me as just the weirdest rock. But I was told to do this, so I came home and I did this. Check it out.
Jack, I have a question. You kind of
I got
you're in the
spooky
middle of
back
the story and
covered.
it went by fast, but you mentioned you found a skull. You took a skull. Can you
Oh,
fill us?
years to see. Oh,
You,
Bradley Allen and I. Okay, we've been. Okay, this is the Primate Center guy had a lot to do with this too. This is at the time when we were doing all that gifting, and before the Forest Service came in and screwed things up. We had been finding these rock piles, here and there, and the Primate Center guy told us those were his domain markers. And what we'd been doing is we picked a tree that was on the inside of those domain markers, and that's what we were hanging our stuff in. And we'd go out on the other side of the rock pile and eat our lunch or screw around, and do smoke pot, whatever the hell we were doing. And boy, oh boy, we had done this for like 3 months, maybe 4 or 5 months. I don't know. It's been a while. And so we got a package full of goodies, and we were bebopping down the, well, no, we were up the trail anyway. We were bebopping up the trail. And I kind of lost my train of thought there because we were bebopping up the trail.
I was asking about the skull. You mentioned a skull.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of, okay. What we ended up doing was I wanted trying to figure out which way we were coming in. That's kind of where I got my glitch. I think we were coming in from the backside. Anyway, we came up to the rock pile, and we were a little. See, I'm trying to figure out the distance because there was a lot of different distances than the different way we came in. But anyway, when we came up to a certain point in this to the rock pile, we saw a white object on the rock pile. The closer we got, the more it looked like a skull. Well, of course, we looked at each other and we decided what we were going to do. So we decided that we'd go up and look at it, and we were afraid it was a human skull. So we walked up to it, and it was an animal skull, and it was a big animal skull. So then we decided, well, do we take this skull or do we not take this skull? And we were concerned about what kind of skull it was, because it wasn't a deer skull. It looked more like a dog skull. And we never knew anything about what do you call it, dog people or any of that kind of stuff at that time. I don't think that's what it was. But anyway, so we took the skull and we took it back to the Dells, and I took it to the vet, and they said it was either a bull mastiff or a large Rottweiler, or else it was a mixture. So Brad takes it down to the Alpine vet there in Hood River, and they tell him it's the same thing. So we're at a conjunction here, or what's going on? So we get a hold of the Primate Center guy. The Primate Center guy, he says, "Oh, that's an easy one." What? He says, "That's pretty easy." He said, "You guys have been giving them gifts for how many months now? And our big fellas, our friends, cannot go out to the local Kmart and buy you a gift. So they gave you one." Oh God, that gave us the willies. Yeah, that was your gift. So
You're
we,
telling me the people at the Primate Center told you this?
yeah.
They acknowledged that you were having interactions with Sasquatch, the forest
Oh
spirit.
yeah, this guy. I could forget the guy's name. Todd Nest named the guy. He even knows him, I
Obvious,
guess.
yeah. Wait,
But
now, okay, so wait, I'm curious about this. This guy, is he still in contact with you, the Primate Center guy?
oh no, we haven't been in contact with them guys for a while.
I would like to speak with him.
Yeah, so what happened, Jack, to this relationship or this friendship with this guy?
We just kind of fizzled out, I guess. I don't really remember. It just kind of fizzled out, I think. After
Was
the
he from the
first,
university? Did Todd
well,
Neese introduce you to him? Where's this guy from?
we had the idea of the Primate Center because we knew it was in Hillsboro. We didn't know what we had when we were doing this, so wife and I and Brad all talked about it after our first experience, and we didn't know what we had. We were always told they were apes. So I was told that they weren't apes, but
There's a
I just
Primate
have to
Center?
add. I just
Yeah.
have to add. This is crazy because where Brett and I live now, we are just like right across from the Primate Center. Like Brett's flown his drone over to look
oh,
at
that's
the
the guy.
little monkeys running around. So
Is it the same guy from 1988?
I bet I think I know who you're talking about.
Talk to
Oh,
him.
really? So this
Talk.
Yeah.
could be the same guy, and you live next door to him, Jill?
That's different. Hey, see how things
The
come
Only
around,
Just
man?
You Primate Center is just across the street from where we live. At night sometimes it's like a tropical vacation. You can hear them in the distance
Oh my
making their
gosh.
monkey noises.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, this is what and that's what he told us is that they couldn't go out and get anything from Kmart, so that was a very important thing for him. Well, this was a this was a spine tingler, I guess you might say.
Yeah.
Pardon the fun, but what was what? Okay, me and Brad looked at each other because we had just got to watching the Predator movie just about a month ago. And do you remember in that Predator movie where it pulls out the skull and the spine? Yeah, well, we thought about that. And then we decided we were at a crossroads whether we were going to go back there or not. And that Primate Center guy said, "Don't worry about it. That's a gift. It's not. If he wanted to kill you, he'd have killed you a long time ago." Yeah, we got to thinking that's
Yeah.
true. He had
But
lots
it's
of
still like we're bearing the lead here that there's a guy at a Primate Center that is a Bigfoot advocate, and they shouldn't be, right? Like, at least not publicly. And you have the confidence of one. And Jill, this could be synchronicity for all sorts of things down the road here. But I'm shocked that you didn't sleuth this together before this interview. This was never brought up.
I think I brought it up. I think I brought it up with Brett before.
Okay. Hmm. Interesting. Well, we'll have to circle back to that one because that's kind of like a
What's up, Neil?
important.
I'll look into that. I
Yeah.
gotta put on my little producing detective hat and
Yeah.
get to work.
So what's next, Jack? In the few minutes that we have left here, where do you want to take this? Because this has been a lifetime of experiences,
You know
and
what I want to do?
what do you want to do with it?
I want us all to go camping in the spring and have some up here where we are. I do. I want us to. I want us. I want to get everybody that's in that paranormal Bigfoot movie, give them an invitation to come up and hang out and do something like we did at Oak Ridge. I'd love to have the camp out. You remember we were
Okay.
talking about when you guys went out and it was more fun to do it than to do it like we had before.
Yeah, Joe, we
Yes.
need to have like an official Flash of Beauty reunion where it's just everybody that's in touch with this movie in some way or another, at least for a potluck or something, if you can stay longer.
Yes.
We could do like a big like round table. Like, where
Hmm.
are we now? How far have we come?
Nice.
But
Nights of the Squatch table. We could all sit around
yes.
a giant picnic
Yes.
table and
Well, I can
pass.
say one thing, Tobe. This
Yeah.
young lady has come a long way since I met her. She has
Who
come
has?
a long way. My friend Jill here, she's come a long
Oh,
way. She used to be different. Now she's out there now.
right. You changed her.
I was very reserved, and now I just
Oh.
put it out there. It
Oh,
took a
she's just
while.
great.
It
I
took a
mean,
while to
she's
work
great.
through.
It almost makes you think Brett's afraid to do the podcast.
It could be. It could be.
Anyway,
You put me in charge.
I want to really say this for the audience.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for the film crew and you guys and everybody that's involved in this, in the film crew, we would not be able to express our experiences or what we have seen or what we have done in the manner that we do. You guys are the exception to the rule, and that is why they have picked us to be the vessel. You guys are exceptional, all of you. So that's my take on the deal. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be here today.
Well, thank you, but I think there's some synchronicities, and there are no coincidences that we have crossed paths with all the
No, never.
people that we have.
We've
This
been
was all
together
meant to be.
before. Spiritually, we've all been together before. We're just in a different lifetime right now, folks. And we're doing a different study with them this time.
Yeah.
We're bringing it to the world. That's our job. And you guys do it well.
We're trying. We're doing our best.
I don't
Jack,
mean, you know,
what advice do you have, Jack, for people that want to look into this, that maybe just tuning into this podcast for the first time, they caught Flash of Beauty? For the newbies out there, any advice for people that want to look into this?
yeah, listen to the people that know something. Don't go out there and just try to do something because there's a lot of things out there that you just don't know about. And there's a lot of things that can trip you up. And
Mhm.
like I said before, they've even got a sense of humor. So don't be surprised if they don't pull jokes on you when you're out there. Uh, my big advice to the person that's a novelist or whatever, do what your intuition tells you. If your little body tells you something's wrong, get the hell away. That's how
Mhm.
I live. I live that way. Uh, my wife's got the strong intuition, like a woman, I guess. But boy, I was going to go to Vision Quest with my cousin up in Washington. But my wife says, nope, I got a bad feeling. Well, I know that because I've been tested that bad feeling before and got shocked. So, yeah, I didn't go. It was over
Yeah.
one of those weekends, Memorial Day weekend. And she said, nope, you're not driving because there are too many weirdos out there. So, yeah, that intuition is what you need to listen to. Whether it's your wife, if you're out there with her and she says, let's get away, whether it's your grandson, because I listen to him too, you got to listen to yourself because whatever's out there, it can hurt you or it can be your friend. It's all about vibes. I think it's all about how you present yourself to them. And if you present yourself to them like you present yourself how you'd want to be presented, I guess.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain it, but if you got the vibes, if you got what they like, they'll let you know. Uh,
Yeah.
but don't go hunt them. They're not there to be hunted. And if you go out there with a hunting spirit, you'll never see a darn thing. Maybe a squirrel. But that's my opinion is you don't hunt them. They come to you. Uh, well, okay, that very first time at the steam vents, we weren't hunting them, but they sure showed up because we were warned before that. We should have not, we should have laughed that off, but they came and they crapped my pants big time. That's all I can say. Listen to your
Hey, but
inside.
guess what, Jack? In spite of everything that happened at the steam vents, they brought you your wallet, your change, your
Yes,
keys, and even your Varney glasses.
yes, yes. That was my best. That was probably the best example of humanoidness of them that there is. They had to have a mind. They had to have hands. They had to have. They knew we needed it.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know what they knew, but boy, I'll tell you what, there's some intelligent folks. And for me, to have them come from Florence all the way up here to this experimental forest to be with me is truly a humbling honor to me. And for me to go back to Florence and check that out and make sure that I was right before I said anything, I really feel honored that they allowed me to be in their life. I'm living in their living room right now. We all are, I guess, but I feel honored that they've allowed me to be part of their life. And if somebody wants to do that, I don't know if I could teach them anything, but there's things that I do that most people don't, and you've done it with me, Jill. That's to smudge myself. Every single, when we go out, we smudge ourselves. I taught Jacqueline how to do that, and I'm going to get her a smudging kit. I got a lot of things I want to do with that person because she's a great kid. I haven't talked to her for a while. I think I blew her mind when I was telling her some of the things that about the ceremonies and this little ghost gizmo. And I think I blew her mind. She hasn't talked to me lately, so I don't know what's going on. But she's got.
She'll come around. She'll come around.
Oh yeah, but she's got a lot on her plate, man. Being a mom and having to work, and she's just got a lot on her plate. So I love that kid. She's my adopted daughter. She is. She reminds me a lot of my own. And hey, if she would have been around in high school around me, she probably would have been my adopted daughter. That's just kind of how it works. But all of our souls and all of our spirits have all come together in this thing that we're doing. This what did you want to call it?
An experience.
Yes.
This experience.
Manifested experiences. Yes.
Yeah.
We've all came together for a reason. I mean, okay, this is how Jacqueline and I met. Okay, she had we were on one of them sites, we're not on now, but anyway, she had asked how many people would like to go to the Columbia River Gorge. Well, of course, I said, of course, me, because I like that place anyway. And so out of 50 people, however, her and I were the only ones left. Check that out. So we were meant to be,
Yeah. And just to tell people, Jacqueline, I only met her briefly at the Oak Ridge Bigfoot Festival that we had there. But this is a Bigfoot researcher friend of yours?
Yes.
Okay. And so I've been in contact with her off and on. And I think you went on an adventure that I set up through her in Cascadia, Oregon.
Yes. We had a good time, too.
But you didn't find the target, did you?
No, but we sure found a lot of cool other stuff. I got a lot of pictures of that. We got, there's a lot of beautiful water there, and there's a lot of Bigfoot sign there too. Yeah,
that's a pretty squatchy area, so we'll have to get you to the target zone in Cascadia.
And we enjoyed ourselves, and we worked ourselves up to a sweat that day. I'll tell you, it was a lot of fun.
That's amazing. Well, boy, there's some stuff coming in 2025 that Jill's putting together, that I'm putting together, and we want to put together with you, Jack. So if you like what Jack's saying, like I do, unfortunately, him and I have only met here, a couple of minutes, really, and now this virtual reality. But I need to sit around and have a beer with you, Jack, in the woods. Jill, Brett, myself, everybody else that can join us. But I appreciate you spending the evening and getting over the little bit of tech hiccup that we had to do. I think it came out nicely.
I think I learned something.
I think you did.
Well, we should do this again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'd love to.
Well, Jack, I'll tell you what. People love you. People love your interview, and I know that they would love to hear updates from you and stuff. So many people post like, more Jack. We need to hear more Jack stories, and he's telling, I believe him, and same experience. It's just, you're a treasure, and we need to protect you and share your stories, and you're
advocate here.
You're a national treasure.
Feed me almonds.
Hey, if that's all it takes, we're good.
Okay.
All right, Jack. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, buddy.
Peace and love, folks, and take it easy.
Bye-bye. Bye,
Jack.
This has been a Resonance Production podcast. If you have questions or comments, you can email us at bigfootrevealedpod@gmail.com. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe for weekly podcasts coming up in the future. If you're just discovering the Flash of Beauty universe, you can watch our documentaries on most streaming platforms.